books that I was reading took me somewhere. They took me across the sea. They took me to places that seemed to be more exciting.
I read to forget about the rest of the day. I read to escape.
The enjoyment that you get from reading a book is second to none.
The experience of reading can just be so wonderful. A good writer will create another world.
If you get the right story, it just allows your brain to run absolutely wild.
It's like getting a key and unlocking a whole new world. You can go anywhere.
Sometimes a book will make me laugh. It enlightens me. It takes me on an adventure to a different place.
I want to read more books so I can enrich my life a little bit more. It will just help me tell stories.
In a way, books saved my life because I had what I now consider to be a breakdown when I was 24. The way I managed to make myself feel better was through reading and writing.
A world without books would be a very dismal place to live. You know, I worry a lot about the fact that bookstores are closing all over the world.
I part own a bookshop. I feel so proud to be part of it. I love the physicality of books. I often give books away as gifts to people. There's a real value to them. It doesn't really feel materialistic.
I'm not sure I would have survived without reading. I do think it's a privilege to do the job that I do, which is about trying to make more people feel that they too can have the joys, the benefits and the consolation of reading.
Well, the problem we have today is adult literacy. It's not to say that they can't read at all, but they would not be confident enough to tackle any book from a bookshelf.
1 in 6 people will have a difficulty with their literacy, but actually quite a lot of people will be able to read, but just won't think of reading for pleasure as something that means anything to them.
When I couldn't read or write, it was embarrassing. In restaurant situations, when I couldn't read the menus, I used to always have to say to people, look, I'll have what you're having. I could read and write from the age of 30, and it was another 20 years before I got into novels. It's changed my life totally because I don't feel an outsider anymore. But the biggest benefit I've ever had with reading is now when I put a flat pack together, I can understand the instructions.
As a kid, I never read books at all. I only started reading when I landed up joining the army as a 16-year-old, because I had the reading age of an 11-year-old. The guy there, the educator, changed my life and everybody there, because he said, look, every time you read a book, every time you're going to get a bit of knowledge. Every time you get a bit of knowledge, you get a bit more power. And that power gives you the power to do the things you want to do, as opposed to other people telling you what to do.
My daughter read from a very early age. I read to her, like most parents. And I think many, many, many people read to their children still. And that's terribly, terribly important.
I've got a young son, and I'm watching him at the moment, and we've got lots of books around. We haven't forced them upon him at all, but he's just gone to them.
I don't think I've been a particularly good influence with my kids in terms of books.
I think that's the least of his worries. See, I'd got a job where I was sitting on the tube for an hour every day. I was getting to the point where I was missing my stop because I was so engrossed in the book. All of a sudden, there you are, a bookworm.
If someone is daunted, I'd say I know exactly what you mean, because I was as a kid.
It is a confidence thing. Ultimately, that's all it is. It's a confidence thing. You know, when I watch my 6-year-old sounding out the words and getting it wrong, but just being fearless, because when you are 6 years old, you're fearless. It doesn't matter if you get it wrong. When you get older, it's harder, it's more embarrassing. You don't want to look stupid.
I never used to read in front of my parents or in front of my friends. Maybe it wasn't that cool. But I think everyone has to find a place which they feel comfortable with.
You know, if you're finding a great big book really daunting, start with a few thinner ones and kind of work your way up to it. I don't think books should be judged by their girth.
Well, size is nothing.
If you get up in the morning and you think, I've got to read this book, you're not going to read the book, you're going to read that much of the book. You want the book to get you to the point where, you know, I don't want to close, I can't stop. 3 o'clock in the morning, you think, I can't go to sleep, I've got to get up in the morning, right, I've got to shut this book now, shut the book.
The key is to find a book you're passionate about. Every time I finish a book, I get an extraordinary sense of satisfaction and enjoyment.
Remember the feeling you're going to get when you realise you've just read a book for the very first time in your life. So start, and then all of a sudden you get the bug, and then you won't be able to stop.
You ain't going to get there until you set off, and you're certainly not going to get there until you've taken the ride. Get a ticket, get reading.